Hey, we have a gentleman who's raising his hand, and I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so could you please tell us your name and your address?
It's no worries. So my name is Alex Kippis. I'm on the Woonsocket City Council. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, there wasn't a lot of space for the name. So I would like to, echo everything that Senator Murray had said, and specifically highlight also the points that the Dr. Ramos, was that your last name?
Yes.
Who spoke
Ramos,
just now?
yeah.
Ramos, yes, excuse me. And I think that's a really important point that I think needs to be echoed over and over, is the fact that it seems like every single time this happens, it's the poorest districts and the most racially diverse districts. And it may never be deliberately targeted that way, but as a representative of this city, I have seen the sort of underwhelmed, undertone political view of certain people don't vote, so we don't really need to make provisions on their behalf, and that's not okay in the slightest. And I'm not ascribing that blame necessarily to the people who made this decision. Of course, I don't know. I haven't spoken to them directly. However, I think it's really, really important that the sum total of this thing happening over and over and over is systemic racism and systemic classism. It's voter disenfranchisement. And so...
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr.
I'm going to interrupt at this point. I sat on a local board for about 10 years. The local boards are understaffed, undermanned. They don't have neither the wherewithal nor the guidance that they have in reviewing what the law requires. And certainly, I don't think we should be in a situation where we're talking about systemic racism in this particular situation. We don't even have the facts before us from the Woonsocket board. So I have a problem with going off on this type of a dissertation. I have a real issue with it.
So I think the councilman has made his point. I think we understand what you're trying to say, and I think that it needs to be addressed, and we will look at it after this election to see if we can make this a better process.
I certainly agree, and I'd actually like to say that up until the point of that this is not systemic racism, which I disagree with strongly, I agree certainly with Mr. DeSimone in that these boards are understaffed, and so sometimes it is just lack of the capacity to really dive deeply and figure out another very convenient polling location for the people in a precinct. And so that's something that has to be addressed. And I actually think that part of the conversation going forward should be the idea that maybe local boards of canvassers should be expanded to include at least one person from every precinct. And in Woonsocket, that would be a very large board. But in fact, I think that could have helped to avoid this situation, because if somebody from the Fairmount precinct 04 had actually been able to advocate on behalf of the people who live in their district, it would have meant that that this may not have happened. So,
understood. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your input.
Of course.
All right. Any board members have any questions that they would like to raise at this point? Yes, Mrs. Johnson.
Madam Chair, I know we're going to have a deeper discussion about this certainly, but definitely appreciate the diversity in thought and experience that's coming to play in this. And for me, I think it's both and. I think it's process, procedure, support of the local boards of canvassers, and I think you really can't separate systematic racism from anything that we're talking about today. And so I look forward to continuing this discussion and thanking everyone for their thoughts. But I think we have to look at all of it. So appreciate that we'll be able to tackle this issue on a broader, more comprehensive systems level.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Any other board members?